千里之行，始于足下。A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. The Tao Perspective on Praise. So we're going beyond self-praise. We're now talking about the praise from all around. What if, as part of your journey as a Tao cultivator, you have accomplished certain things and you begin to get praise from different directions? Is that possible? Well, of course it is. The better you are, the more praise you are likely to receive. How do you tell if the praise is genuine and authentic? Well, that's what we're about to address. This story is about a gentleman by the name of Zou Ji. He lived in the kingdom of Qi Guo, and this was back in the days of the Warring States period. In this picture that you see, he is being portrayed by an actor, a good-looking guy who's playing a musical instrument. And that's because historically, this particular figure from history was known as a good-looking man, charismatic, who was very adept with music as well. So this, of course, had an effect on the people around him. And he served the king of Qi as a minister, as a valued and wise minister. So when he stands, people could see that he was tall. This was a tall guy, and this was a good-looking guy. He took pride in that. And one morning, he dressed himself, watching the mirror and reflecting upon his looks. He asked his wife about another man who was also known as a very good-looking man. This was a man by the name of Xu, and the honorary for someone in that position was Gong. So Xu Gong was this other person. So he asked his wife about Xu Gong. He said, "Who is better looking, me or Xu Gong?" His wife said, "Well, of course, you are the most beautiful. How can Xu Gong even compare?" So Zou Ji, upon hearing this, had some doubts. He had some doubts in his mind. Was this right? Maybe I better get corroboration. So he went to ask his concubine. So back in those days, powerful, wealthy men in ancient China, when the situation allows, they could have multiple concubines, or he had a concubine. So he went to ask his concubine. He said, so he asked the same question. So between myself and Xu Gong, who is better looking? So the concubine said, "Well, my lord, how can Xu Gong compare to you? Of course you are better looking." Now, he still wasn't quite satisfied with this. He still had some doubts. And that particular day, he was receiving a guest, a visitor in his home. So this guest came to ask him for favors. And as they were chatting during their talk, he asked his visitor, "So you know that Xu Gong is famous for being a very good-looking man. So who do you think is better, myself or him?" So his visitor replied that, "My lord, of course, you are the better-looking one. How can Xu Gong compare to you?" So it's a very similar answer to the two that he had already received. So upon this validation from the guest, Zou Ji let the matter rest, at least for the time being. As coincidence will have it, the next day, Xu came to visit with him, had some business to discuss in regards to the kingdom. So as they conversed, Zou Ji carefully looked at him, and he came to the realization that definitely this man was the better looking one, was much better looking than himself. So in fact, later on, after Xu had left, he looked at himself in the mirror and confirmed that opinion, confirmed that assessment for himself, that he was not really comparable. He couldn't really compare to this really good-looking guy. So he thought about this. This bothered him because his own conclusion was in contradiction with the opinion from his wife, his sister, and his guest from yesterday, from the previous day. Then, tossing and turning at night, he came upon the realization. He realized that, well, my wife said that about me because she loves me. My concubine, comes from such a background of little wealth and power, a background of poverty, that she is actually afraid of me. So she will, of course, tell me what I want to hear. The guest, the visitor who came, said that I was better looking. Well, it's only because he had a request to mate of me. So at some point after that, he, as a minister, was present in the court of the king of Qi, the Qi kingdom. And he conversed with the king. And he was relating this recent experience to the king. And he admitted to the king, Your Majesty, you see, I cannot compare to Xu Gong. But everyone told me the opposite was true. Now I know why. My wife told me that because she loves me. My concubine said that because she's afraid of me. And my guest said the same thing because he's seeking a favor from me. Your Majesty, here's the point. Today, the kingdom of Qi, Qiguo, is a region spanning thousands of miles. It's a powerful kingdom with 110 castles to defend its borders. In the palace, the ladies and nobles praise you because of the position you have given them. In the court, all your ministers praise you because you have power over them and they fear you. In every direction that you care to look, everyone praises you. The people all praise you because they all want something from you. So, Your Majesty, it seems to me that the deception you face is far greater than my own. The king thought about this and said, You are absolutely correct. Never occurred to me before. So he issued a royal decree. He said that from this point on, anyone, ministers or my subjects, any of my subjects, if anyone can, in my presence, directly to me, point out my problems, I will give them the highest reward. Anyone who has the ability to submit a written criticism of me, I will give them the mid-level reward. Anyone who will, in public, criticize me for the things that I have done wrong, and the word gets to me I will give them a lower level reward. In these three different ways, anyone will be rewarded for providing the proper criticism rather than praise. So this caused quite a stir within the kingdom. So initially, everybody wanted the rewards. They all came up with things to say. So in the courts at the palace, it was like the market with so many people coming and going to, in front of the king, tell him what he's doing wrong. And even after several months, there were still frequently people coming in to do that exact same thing. So out of all these critical remarks, the king sifted through them and picked the ones that he felt needed the most work. He prioritized them and he worked on them. So all the correct, proper criticisms, they were all accepted by the king himself. So because these issues were being addressed, there's less and less things for people to be critical of. And it improved the kingdom of Qi to such a point that it became even more powerful, to the point that all the neighboring kingdoms during the warring states, they all came to swear fealty to the king of Qi Guo, to recognize Qi Guo, the Qi kingdom, as the foremost among peers. This later on became another example of winning battles without fighting. That is, Qi Guo is able to achieve a position of greatness over other kingdoms, but not by defeating them in battle, but simply by accepting the right criticism. So, a historical account, and as you listen to this, I would like to invite you to apply all of the elements to your own life. That is, as we go through life, we are definitely going to encounter people who praise us. The real question is, why do they praise us? What is the agenda? What is the reason? They may praise us because they love us. You know, what we know in our society, in our cultural background, is that, mom is always going to be a staunch supporter of whatever you do. Why? Because she's mom. She loves you. So you need to take that into account and not let the hype carry you away. There are situations when you get into a powerful position and people fear your power, that they will praise you because of it. So in our society, in our cultural background, we would say that these are the brown nosers. Not to put too fine of a point on it, but these are the people who are praising out of an element of fear. And then lastly, your peers may praise you when they want something from you. They're after something. They have a goal. They have a purpose. When you are able to see that, you will suddenly free yourself from being a slave to praise or positive validation. That people can still say positive or negative things, but the Tao should provide a guidance to you as to the correct way to handle it. So that is the very last point that I needed to make today. It isn't just about self-praise, it's about praise in general. So avoid self-praise and handle praise from others correctly. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Let us travel safely. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.